We kind of felt like having ramen, but we also felt like having something along the lines of pho. The broth is lighter, and since it's summer right now, it sounded good. So we decided to combine the two ideas. It's not traditional, but this is a vegan pho ramen recipe anyway, so who cares? To start with, I made a vegetable broth because we were out. I started by charring onions and garlic. Once they had color, I poured in some water and then grabbed the vegetable scraps I'd saved over the past few weeks. Mostly carrot peels, mushroom stems, celery roots, bits of zucchini, corn cob, and some herb stems. I tossed in some peppercorns, coriander seeds, and some salt, and then added enough water to cover. Brought it to a boil and then simmered it for about an hour. Decided to add some bay leaves too. Once boiled, I did a quick strain to get just the liquid and then passed it through a mesh sieve to catch any smaller stuff. Then back into the pot, boiled down the concentrate. It tastes pretty good, so I'm happy with it. So it's been about another hour or so, and it's reduced to a quarter of what it was. So now I'm just pouring it once more through the mesh sieve, and there we go, vegetable stock broth. All I have to do is add a tablespoon or two to a couple cups of water, and we're good to go for any future soups. Onto the pho broth. Starting the process again by charring some ginger slices. Meanwhile, I started to prep the other veggies. I'm trimming the base off of some maitake mushrooms and separating the stems from the tops. I'm going to stir fry the mushroom tops, but some of the stalks so that we've got a texture variation. Ginger has some color, so now I'm going to pour in just a bit of water to stop it from burning, and then add some soy sauce for salt and flavor. I'm tossing in some dried shiitake mushrooms as well for flavoring. They're going to be too rubbery to eat, so I'll remove those later. And some dried lotus root as well. Now for the pho flavoring. In goes 2 star anise pods, half a cinnamon stick, 3 cloves, and a bit of white peppercorn. I'm also tossing in the stalk of the maitake mushrooms. They're too woody to eat, but it'll give a good flavor. And then I'm adding some more water so that it can simmer effectively. Onto the other items. First up, tofu. Draining the package and then pressing it. I'm trying a new method, just using my hands instead of heavy weights. It seems to work as well, and it's a lot faster and maybe even easier, I don't know. Then I'm cutting it into some thick planks. Meanwhile, I've got the broth simmering. It's time to take care of the noodles. Usually, pho uses rice noodles, but we wanted a heartier noodle, and I'd made some ramen-style noodles the day before, so ramen-style it is. It's a little discolored because it's day old, but it's still totally fine. I'm flouring it and then pressing it down so I can get it through the roller. Once it's thin enough, through the roller it goes. I'm rolling it many times and folding it over itself to laminate the noodles, at least 5 times. That makes them extra chewy. I find that punching the dough helps keep the dough together at the laminate. It's weird, but it works. I then roll it through until it gets to the thickness of 5 on the machine, and then cut them to equal lengths. Quick dusting of flour so the noodles don't stick, and then through the spaghetti cutter. After a few passes, we've got our noodles ready to cook. I've got a bowl of cold water to the side and a pot of boiling water. The noodles go into the boiling water for 45 seconds, and then I'll drop the noodles into the bowl of cold water immediately. I'll continue this process until I've cooked all the noodles. Once all cooked, I'll give them a thorough rinse in the cold water and then drain. These noodles are now ready for our soup. Back to the soup, I'm pulling out the lotus roots and mushroom base. The lotus root is now ready to cut, and I'm slicing them thin. You can see in the background I've also cut some carrots and grabbed some fresh mint from out of the garden. Back into the soup goes the mushroom stems that I've trimmed up, the lotus roots, carrots, and tofu. With that all in, I'm now adding 4 cups of the vegetable stock that I made earlier, bringing it up to the simmer and cooking until the carrots are tender. Meanwhile, let's prepare the bowl. Laying down a bed of our noodles, adding our sauteed maitake mushroom tops, a sprig of mint, some facing heaven chilies for me, green onion, and some nori crisps. And now that the soup is ready, time to add in the broth. And there we've got a fusion vegan ramen and pho soup. Just gonna add a squeeze of lemon before digging in. It's delicious. It's a really nice earthy flavor and very herby and aromatic from the spices and fresh greens. Broth is still light, just like a pho should be, but the springy ramen noodles make the dish a little bit heartier. I think it was a success.